I'm not sure what these guys are talking about, but they're kind of right and they're kind of wrong. Okay. Um, the last good Metallica album was in 1991, and I believe that's the same time Anthrax made Persistence of Time, which might have been 1992. I don't know. Um, as far as Smashing Pumpkins, they came out with that double album in the mid 90s that was pretty good. It wasn't. I've never really been a Smashing Pumpkins fan, but uh, it's hard to disagree. I mean, Benante, amazing drummer. Their drummer in the I forget the name of the guy, but he was really good. Um, you know, uh, so there's that. All right, but to me, from my experience, like metal kind of like died in like the early '90s when I was like in middle school. You know, and I felt like kind of like left out, cheated out of life, because like all the good Iron Maiden albums were like done in the '80s. The saving grace was they came out with Fear of the Dark in 1992, and I was just old enough to go to a concert, and so I was like, yeah, you know, so that helped. But then metal kind of died off. At least this is my experience, okay? And what had happened was like Pantera kind of carried the torch. They came out with like Far Beyond Driven in like 1995 or something. So that was I was in high school by that point, and hell yeah, that was one metal album. That was a metal album you could listen to with like your Mexican friends, your people who liked all kinds of music. Because it was just hard. So there was that. But then, kind of died off a little bit in the late 90s. But I don't think it was like the whole thing started in like 92, not in the late, you know, uh, 90s. And one particular band that picked up the torch of rock and roll, like not metal, is Queens of the Stone Age. I mean, anybody who's listened to that band knows what I'm talking about. They're really good. Yeah, I've spent hours playing drums to, their music just to like get better and stuff. And yeah, they're fantastic. So the early 2000s were kind of like a renaissance of rock and roll, hip hop, because hip hop became about what it used to be, like interesting stuff, not just rapping about hoes and bitches and drugs and guns and this and that. It became about like science fiction and like if you listen to like Deltron 3030 or Masters of Illusion or anything like that, you'll find that there was a renaissance there for a little while. And I think the problem is since then, the Napster effect took so much hold. There was no music industry anymore. Um, you know, Making a record is a whole different. The reason for making a record and selling a record is, not even the same. Like these days, if you want a career in music, you have to make an Instagram with like 1 million followers. And I mean 1 million, you know. And I think these guys know that, but that's not their problem. They, kind of made it when they made it, and they have enough of a following. So if they want to do a concert, people are going to come. But these days, some of my favorite artists that are like younger, they have to like constantly make content on social media platforms, and they spend so much time doing it. In my opinion, it negates their music. But what can you do? They have to do that. So anyway, that was just some thoughts on that. they're kind of right, but I don't understand why they said late 90s. It was more like the early 90s, which is, quite a few years. So there.